If your connecting flight ever gets canceled and they tell you to wait in the terminal overnight, don't. Find a bench landside, sleep in the parking garage, call a cab to a town 2 hours away. I don't care what it costs. Whatever you do, do not let them seal you inside an empty airport after the last flight leaves, because some of those airports don't actually close for the night. They just change shifts, and the next shift is not for people like us. I travel for work, or I did. I've spent more nights in airports than I can count, and I want you to understand that going in, because it means I know what a normal dead airport feels like. The bored gate agent, the one janitor running a floor buffer, the vending machines humming. I'd slept across those vinyl benches a dozen times. None of that scared me. I'm telling you this so you know I'm not someone who gets spooked by an empty room. It was a regional airport, small, the kind with 4 gates and a single baggage carousel, stuck out in flat country an hour from anything. My flight in landed late, and my connection, the last one out, got canceled on the board while I was still walking up the jet bridge. Weather, they said. There wasn't any weather. The sky outside was clear and black and full of stars. The agent at the desk told me the next flight was at 6 a.m. She said I could wait in the terminal. I asked if I could go back out, get a hotel, come through security again in the morning. She gave me this little apologetic smile and said the TSA checkpoint was closed for the night, and once it closed, they couldn't let anyone back through until it reopened. If I left the secure area, I'd be stuck landside with no way back to my gate. It's easier if you just stay, she said. Most people stay. Most people stay. I didn't think anything of it then. I thanked her, found a row of seats near my gate and settled in with my jacket as a pillow. I watched her finish her shift. She powered down her monitor, pulled the little grate down over the desk, and walked off toward the staff door. The lights over the check-in counters clicked off behind her in sections, one bank at a time, until the whole front of the terminal went dark. Then it was just me and the gate seating, lit up like a stage with all the house lights off around it. I should tell you about the others. I wasn't actually alone. There were maybe 6 other people scattered through the terminal, the way you always get on a stranded night. An old man in a brown coat, 2 rows over, a woman with a rolling suitcase, sitting very straight, a couple more shapes further down, half in shadow. I remember being almost comforted by them. Strangers, sure, but we were all in the same boat. We'd all nod at each other in the morning, bleary, sharing the little misery of it. Except, and it took me an hour to notice this, none of them were doing anything. No phones, no books, no headphones, no snacks, no shifting around trying to get comfortable. The old man sat with his hands flat on his knees, facing the dark windows. The woman sat upright, staring at the departures board. They weren't asleep. Their eyes were open. They were just waiting, patiently, the way you wait when you've been waiting a very long time, and you've made your peace with it. At first I tried to be rational about it. I pulled out my phone to check the time and kill the dread with a screen, the way we all do now. No signal, not one bar, which is strange for an airport, even a small one. And the clock at the top of the screen wasn't moving. It sat at 11:51 and stayed there, the way a clock does in a photograph. I locked the phone and unlocked it. Still 11:51. So I did the thing you're not supposed to do. I got up, and I walked over to the woman with the suitcase, 2 rows down, and I said something stupid and ordinary. "Some night, huh? You waiting on the 6 a.m. too?" Just to hear a human voice answer me. Just to make the room normal again. She didn't turn her head. She kept staring up at the departures board. And after a moment, in a soft, pleasant voice, not to me, not to anyone, she said, "I'm waiting for my connection." And then she said it again, the exact same words, the exact same way, with the exact same little lift at the end. "I'm waiting for my connection." Like a recording, like a sentence that had been said so many times the words had worn smooth and stopped meaning anything at all. I went back to my seat. I didn't try to talk to anyone again. Around midnight, the board changed. You know the big departures board, the split flap kind in older airports, where the letters physically slip over with that soft clattering sound? This terminal had one. It had been showing my 6 a.m. flight and a row of canceled below it, and just after midnight it started flipping. That dry little riffle of letters turning. I looked up, expecting a gate change. The destinations were wrong. I want to be precise about this, because precision is all I have. The cities on that board were not cities. The letters settled into names I had never seen, long names, too many consonants, places that don't exist. And next to each one, instead of a time, the same word, flip-flapping into place down the whole column. Boarding, boarding, boarding. I told myself it was a glitch, a test pattern, a screensaver, some maintenance cycle that runs when the building's empty. That's what I told myself. And then the PA system came on. It was a woman's voice, calm, warm, a little flat, the exact voice every airport has, the one that's announced 10,000 boardings and feels nothing about any of them. It said, "Final boarding call for the flight now departing from Gate 3. Final boarding call. All ticketed passengers please proceed to Gate 3. And the old man in the brown coat stood up. He didn't hurry. He smoothed his coat, picked up nothing. He had no bag. And he walked, unhurried, down the dark concourse toward Gate 3, where a single light was on at the end. I watched him the whole way. He got smaller and smaller down that long corridor, and the light at the end was this warm gold rectangle, and he walked into it. And then the light went out. He did not come back. I waited. I told myself he'd boarded a real flight, an early cargo run, a charter, anything. But there'd been no plane. You can see the tarmac through those windows, and Gate 3 was empty. No aircraft, no ground crew, nothing out there but the dark and the blue runway lights going off into the fields. I want to be honest about what I did next, because it's the part I'm least proud of. I did nothing. I sat very still, and I made myself small, and I thought, as long as I don't have a ticket, as long as they don't call me, this has nothing to do with me. I'm just a man waiting for a 6 a.m. flight. I'm not part of this. Over the next hour, it happened twice more. The PA would chime, that soft two-note tone, you know the one, and the calm voice would announce final boarding for a gate, and one of the waiting people would stand and walk down a dark concourse into a gold light at the end and not come back. The woman with the suitcase went to Gate 1. She left the suitcase behind. It's probably still there. Each time the voice came on, I noticed something I hadn't wanted to notice. It was getting closer to me. Not the volume, the attention. The first announcements were general, all ticketed passengers. Then they started naming the gate more insistently. And then the fourth time, the voice paused before it spoke. Just a half second of dead air, like a person deciding something. And then it read out a name. A full name, first and last, not mine. One of the shapes down in the shadows stood up and shuffled off, and I felt this ugly flood of relief, because it had named someone, and the someone wasn't me. By around 3 a.m, I was the only one left. Just me and the lit-up gate seating with the whole dark building breathing around me. And I understood, the way you understand things at 3 a.m. all at once and too late, that the airport had been emptying itself all night, one by one, politely, on schedule, and I was the last passenger on the board. I made a decision. I was going to get out. I didn't care about the rules anymore. I got up and I walked, fast, not running, because running felt like it would notice me, back toward the front of the terminal, toward the dark check-in hall and the exit doors beyond it. I just had to get landside, get to a door, get outside into the real night with the real stars, and wait in the parking lot like an animal until the sun came up. The corridor was longer than it should have been. I walked and the exit door stayed the same size at the end of it. You know that dream. You walk and the door never gets closer. I walked for what felt like 5 minutes down a hallway that in the daylight would have taken 30 seconds. My footsteps were the only sound, and the whole time I had the feeling, the one we all know, the oldest one, that the empty seats I was passing weren't as empty as they looked, that if I turned my head, something in them would be sitting up, watching me go. I didn't turn my head, and then the PA chimed, that soft two-note tone right above me, and the calm, warm voice, the one that feels nothing, came on, and it paused, that little half-second of dead air, that little human hesitation of deciding, and it said my name, my full name, first and last, the way only my mother and my passport know it. Final boarding call, it said, now departing from Gate 14. There is no Gate 14. The airport has 4 gates. I had walked past all 4 of them, but when I turned, and I did turn then, I couldn't help it. There was a concourse I hadn't seen before, off to my right, one I would have sworn wasn't there an hour ago, a long dark hallway, and at the end of it, very far away, a single warm gold light, a gate, lit and waiting. I ran the other way, toward the exit doors, and I want to tell you the corridor let me go. But I think the truth is simpler and worse. I think it didn't chase me because it didn't have to. It had already written me down. I hit the exit doors with my whole body. The alarm screamed, and I fell out into a cold parking lot under a clear black sky, and I lay on the asphalt, and I cried like a child until the sky went gray. In the morning, the checkpoint reopened. A new agent came on. The terminal filled up with ordinary, tired, beautiful people, scrolling their phones. The board showed real cities again. My 6 a.m. flight was real, and I got on it, and I went home. But here's the thing I need you to understand. The woman's suitcase was gone. The old man's seat was just a seat. There was no record of a cancellation the night before. The agent told me kindly that there'd been no late flight at all, that the last arrival was at 9, and I must have dozed off waiting. And on my own phone, my boarding pass for the flight I'd taken in, the one that stranded me, the destination field was blank. Not erased. Blank. As if it had never decided where I was going. So I don't travel anymore. I drive, or I don't go, because some part of me knows that when that voice paused and decided and said my name, I missed my flight. And the terminal doesn't forget a missed connection. It just rebooks you. And one of these nights in some small airport in flat country, an hour from anywhere, the board is going to flip over to a city that isn't a city, and the calm, warm voice is going to pause, the way it does, deciding, and call final boarding for gate 14. There's a new story here every night, if you can learn to keep walking. So if you're ever stranded after the last flight, and the building goes dark, and a calm voice starts naming the people around you one by one, don't wait to hear your name. Don't answer the final boarding call.